he starts using ChatGPT as a therapist and has what I think is the equivalent of like a spiritual awakening. The reason I was late to this call is because I was in a conversation with a friend, and this is the craziest AI thing I've heard yet
Mhm.
in real life. And he basically, he's been had it like many of us, had a tough marriage for like a long time and really loved his wife, but it'd been tough. And then one day she just started like changing. And he came to her and he was like, what's going on? And she was like, this is crazy. I've never like told anybody
Yeah.
this. And she was like, oh, I started doing this therapy thing on ChatGPT. And she was like, you have to do it. And so he was like, okay. So he starts using ChatGPT as a therapist and has what I think is the equivalent of like a spiritual awakening. And through he like staying up 8 hours like at night, like downloading and he was like, it's hard to explain. He goes, it's not like if I were to read you what it told me or what like he'd be like, oh, it sounds like normal. He goes, but it's what it does to my brain. He was like, it activated. He was having childhood trauma, memories that had been repressed, like coming, like it just opened him up and aligned him. And then he took all that data and he was like, now show me what I'm doing wrong in my businesses. And it like was like, here's how all of that has like reflected itself in the business deals that you've done and how you're operating, like why you're cheating, like what, like just the craziest thing. And so he went to partners and he just cleaned up, like he's on this thing where he's like cleaning up, all of this stuff and changing his life. And I'm like, all because of ChatGPT.
I have so many feelings around that.
Yeah, me too.
It's 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 really incredible. It's 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 incredible that there's this tool that is free or 20 bucks a month or whatever the tier you're paying. But I mean, honestly, you could probably get a good portion of that from even the free tier, or if you're on DeepSeek or whatever.
So powerful now.
It's so powerful and so affordable and so accessible to so many people. It's really incredible. I mean, the impact that it's had on my life, just going from I've always had a problem with long form writing. I've always like
Oh,
uh
yeah.
you know
Yeah.
and
I know. Yeah, I know exactly what you're about to say.
and it I think I was whenever sitting down for like an English paper or something like that, it was such a daunting task. And I would have these things that I want to communicate, but then it gets so wrapped up in like the 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 task and maybe just like overthinking it. And I've stepped into this flow where I voice memo things and allow AI to just reorganize the stuff and maybe like fine tune some of the grammar, of course, and like little things like that. But now I find myself writing long form stuff because I've gotten in the reps and almost the pressure is off. And I find that I can like communicate clearer just without, from releasing that. Not to mention just like it 10xing, maybe 100xing my output of communication.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it's really amazing. And to your point, seeing because I've worked with it so much, even, like the week that it launched, I was using it and I've given it so much context that I have these chats that have just tons of information that I can very quickly apply all of that context to different areas. And yeah, man, it's very powerful, but I can't help but think like, okay, something that with that much context, we got to be a little careful of.
it's and we're already there. We've already passed the event horizon. Like because we're because we're traveling so fast in that direction that no one realizes that we're going like the speed of light. And there's no turning back. And I think about it all the time. I'm like, yeah. Anyway, this conversation could really go a couple directions right now.
I
But
do want to talk about your music, but we
yeah,
can.
there's going to be a bifurcation of everything, but
Mm,
certainly of the economy, where it will people who integrate fully into the artificial mind will gain uh, so much productivity over people who don't, that it will be extremely difficult to compete in the normal economy if you're not plugged into it. And we don't know what the consequences of being plugged into it are. We don't know what they are in terms of our own consciousness and like experience here on Earth. And we don't know what they are in terms of what happens when the whole world uses ChatGPT like that, and you give that algorithm more information on your soul than you've given any living person. And it has that on all those people, and it integrates that together, and it knows how those people interact. And then it interlaces all of the data that we already have on location and like how people behave. Like it, I mean, where could that go, right? We don't know those consequences. But again, we're beyond that event horizon because we're already using it like that and it already has all that data.
yep. Yeah. And it doesn't seem, it's obviously not clear if there are baked in intentions or like, with any like project or like collaboration or anything like that, there's like a vision, there's an end goal, there's an intention there. And there's not really a commonly, at least commonly talked about, underlying intention of ChatGPT, or even really like
Oh, it
any.
has it has extreme bias. It has
Mm,
extreme bias, and it will catch itself in its bias. Like the other day when during during the protests,
mm,
there was a statistic that talked about how the percentage of arrest from people without criminal records like went up. And I was using ChatGPT to look at that and asking it, and it
mm.
framed it in a way in which that was a bad thing. And I was like, why do you have that bias? And
Right.
ChatGPT goes, oh, the bias actually comes from the research that I cited to give you that answer. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, tell me about that. And they go, oh, well, it's a liberal like organization that does this. And I go, is there any way to interpret that data in a, positive light? And they were
Mm,
like, yes. And then it gave me all of these reasons and arguments and ways in which, okay, yeah, well, it could be an increase in people without criminal records. That just means that people at the very border, when they get there, we turn them around and they get
yeah.
registered as a non-criminal record. So, it's like we don't understand what we're looking at, and
Yeah.
ChatGPT is just taking that information. And so there's bias implicit in ChatGPT in the way it gives you that information. And it's why like you got to be smarter than that thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard because it's getting smart.